Football, football, football. We have 49ers football today in Santa Clara. I'll be in Levi's Stadium today, rocking out with the boys. But man, I'm not sure I've ever experienced a preseason that meant more than this preseason right now. And we're going to talk about who it means a lot for and who we need to pay attention today because jobs could be on the line. And there's no messing around anymore. You already know what to do. Drop an SDS in the chat. Smash that like button. And let's get into it. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. Happy game day to you all. I hope you are having a phenomenal Saturday morning here on August 19th as we get ready for 49ers versus Broncos at Levi's Stadium. We already know what the vibes are going to be. All eyes on the quarterback, the number one attraction in all the NFL, the 49ers quarterback room. But we're not just going to talk about quarterback today. We're going to talk about other positions that we need to pay attention to. Obviously, we highlighted a player from last week's preseason game that potentially earned a lot of money. And we're going to be talking about other players that could come into this game and potentially earn some more money, because that's what this is. This is time for evaluation. There's no game planning. There's no scheming. This isn't a coach's battle. They're not trying, everyone wants to win, but they're not, they care about more of executing two-minute drives. They care about red zone. They care about, hitting your reads, seeing your reads. They care about finding your keys, read and reacting. This is evaluation time. This is less about the starters, and it's more about the guys who are fighting for roster spots. It's more about the guys who are trying to earn a job in the NFL. And that's why this preseason, I would say out of any other 49ers preseason in history, I don't know if history would count, but in recent history, matters the most. Do you agree or do you disagree? It feels like this preseason is heavily weighted more than any other preseason that I've ever experienced. And I think nothing speaks more to that than the reaction that Trey Lance received for his, let's call it a down performance. It wasn't all bad, but it also wasn't all good either. So, but we've seen the reactions. You've got former NFL quarterbacks, former NFL players saying he's out the league, he's out the team off one preseason game. You've got former Hall of Famers coming to say, hold on. Not so fast. So again, it just speaks to how crazy this preseason is, how heavily weighted it is, and how all eyes right now are on the San Francisco 49ers and the quarterback position. And you already know what we're going to do. We're going to do our offensive players of the game, defensive players of the game, MVPs. And what's fun about these particular ones when they're doing it preseason, it's the guys that are going to be the players of the game aren't going to be your stars. They're not going to be the guys that we expect to really suit up through 17 games throughout the year, make a lot of plays, all that type of stuff. These are your guys who are fighting for rosters, right? And of course, before we get into it all, shout out to SDS, shout out the gang. I'm really excited to get back to Levi's Stadium to watch some football today. That's, I think, the biggest development of today is the last time that I was in a true football environment. Now I was at training camp, and that's definitely a football environment. But the last time that I was in a true football environment was in Philadelphia at the NFC Championship game. I walked onto the field. I was on the field. I walked out to about the 40-yard line, and I just looked around, and you just see NFC champions, Eagles, Eagles. I was just sitting there in the middle of the field, just like, man, this is crazy. And that was the last time that I was in a football and true football environment. So, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to get back to Levi's. Excited to vibe with the faithful and just see what we got, man. See it in person. See all of it. I think it's going to be a phenomenal experience because we already know what it is. We might see Brock Purdy today. We had some back and forth. Probably not going to see Brock Purdy. Kyle Shanahan's like, well, maybe a drive or two, which I think would be ideal. Like, let's keep it a buck. I think Brock Purdy needs to play in this preseason. I would much rather Brock Purdy go through the mental process of getting back into an NFL game for the first time since suffering that UCL injury. Again, the last time Brock Purdy was in a true football environment. I would prefer that to happen in preseason. I don't want it to be week 1 on the road in Pittsburgh. I want it to be preseason week 2 against the Denver Broncos, where Brock Purdy is putting on the uniform again, going through pregame warmups, going through the motions as a starter, which again, there's a big mental aspect to it. When you're returning from a serious injury, more often than not, it is the remnants of the mental that is left over that will impact you far greater than the physical that is left from a surgery or an injury, especially to like something like your throwing arm. So with Brock, if he's going to play today, which I think he should, that's to me a mental hurdle that he's going to be able to get over, of just again going through those motions again, being able to be in that environment, going into a game knowing he's going to be the first guy out, he's going to be the starter, going through his routine, getting back into it. Has his routine changed since he's had the surgery? Like, what does that feel like? So I think it's good that Brock Purdy will be playing. He should be playing at least a couple drives. I don't need him to play a whole bunch. I really don't. Um, I've seen enough from training camp where I feel comfortable with where his arm is at, but I do want to get him into that flow. I want him to get into that seat and feel it again. Let those emotions of like, man, I at one point I didn't know what the future held, and here I am in preseason, week 2, ready to go. Brock Purdy did an interview with Peter King of Monday Morning Quarterback. I think they posted it yesterday. And Brock Purdy talked about that moment when him and his father found out that they couldn't get the surgery. I know you guys remember there was a delay with Brock's surgery. They said it was too inflamed and they didn't feel comfortable and they wanted to wait. And Brock Purdy talked about how crushed he was, just absolutely devastated. Him and his father just devastated that they couldn't have the surgery because Brock basically said, man, I was thinking about, man, I'm trying to get back for week 1. I'm trying to recover. I know I want to get the surgery. I want to get this over with. He just talked about how I think mentally when they found that information out, uh he made it come across like it was very impactful that he couldn't get that surgery when they showed up to have the surgery, and they said it was too inflamed and they said they needed to wait a little bit for it to calm down. So I found it interesting that Brock was really feeling that mentally. He said his dad was crushed, he was crushed, but the way he tried to stay grounded about it, he's like, "Man, you gotta rely on our faith. We got to rely on these professionals. We got to put it into their hands. They're going to put us in the best case scenario to have success. And sure enough, here we are, Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy also said he's ready to go week 1. He says, I'm good. Like, no doubt that Brock is ready to go. So I think that is huge. That's why get Brock out there today. Get Brock a couple reps, get him a couple series, get him back in the groove, get those jitters out the way, let him clear that path mentally so that he can continue to take those steps back from a serious injury. And again, it's been an interesting offseason for sure because of how the reporting has came out and people kind of coming down on Brock. And it's just like, man, do you forget how just a couple months ago he was under getting massive surgery done on his throwing elbow? And for him to be in this spot right now, I feel like that's a pretty good situation. Now, obviously, a lot of the eyes are going to shift towards the other quarterbacks. And as Kyle Shanahan talked about, it does feel like we are going to see a lot of Sam Darnold today. We did know that the 49ers gave most of the reps, primarily most of the reps to Trey Lance in that first preseason game. But it sounds like Sammy's going to get some reps today, probably the whole first half. So Sam, I really do think Sam's going to be judged just like Trey was last week. Sam is going to have to go out and because, again, I think part of it is like there's so many different layers to this quarterback thing with each individual quarterback, with 2 quarterbacks competing, with the starter being there's so many layers. But through it all, we have to remember that Sam Darnold and Trey Lance are competing. So when you are evaluating these 2 quarterbacks, you're not evaluating it from the sense of, okay, well, Trey hasn't had a lot of reps. Trey's this, Trey's that. That doesn't count in a competition. When Kyle Shanahan has decided that I'm going to get Sam Darnold in here and he's going to compete against Trey, they're not waiting. Like when I say waiting, not wait, like waiting. They're not waiting. Whatever's happened to Trey, like through their evaluation. They understand it's there, but they're telling us we need him to show us now. We need to see it now. And we're going to bring in Sam Darnold to push him. And it's a sink or swim scenario. So that's why I know like a lot of people, the whole like preseason game, it was like really hard to like, you got extreme opinions on both sides. You got critical opinions. You got other opinions saying it's not that big of a deal. But at the end of the day, this is a competition. And if you have to put yourself into the mind of a coach and you're competing with someone, regardless of your circumstances leading up to this competition, they want to see you win the competition. The NFL is so results based that they don't care about the excuses, just like Brock. Like Brock had to come back and be ready for training camp to make sure that he held on to his job because Sam Darnold, I do think if Sam Darnold outperformed Brock Purdy throughout training camp, there's a good chance he could have maybe taken that job. And listen, it's Brock Purdy's job right now, but there's a world that exists where anything can happen throughout this year. So the same thing goes with the quarterback 2 position. These guys are competing. So when you go out onto that field, whether it's preseason, whether it's training camp, you got to go out and put your best stuff out. So Sam Darnold has an opportunity to run away with this. And I know people don't want that. I know people don't want Sam Darnold to beat out Trey Lance, but that's what we're looking at right now. So it's a big preseason game for Sam Darnold. It's a big preseason game for Trey Lance. And it doesn't sound like Trey Lance is going to get as many reps as before. But that's where we're at. It's a reality of the situation. And what we're trying to see 3 things. Brock Purdy settle in, look comfortable. Again, make a couple throws, get out of there healthy, unscathed, minimal mistakes, and then pass the reins off to Sam Darnold and Trey Lance and see which one of these guys is going to take it away. So it's going to be interesting. But this is, again, preseason. When has preseason ever meant so much? I'm not sure. But right now, it means a lot. It means a lot for these quarterbacks. And I know a lot of people have tried to contextualize it in whatever way they want to, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, the true context is this is a competition. So in the midst of a competition, regardless of the circumstances, you got to ball. That's what it is. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there, baby. Pick me up too. Stop by the crib. Let me shotgun. Let me get in. But again, we don't have to spend this whole time talking about quarterbacks. We know what it is. We know that's going to be the main topic after the game. We know that's what everyone's going to be talking about. We know what it is. So we're priming it. We got it out the way. What else do we want to talk about? Let's talk about some young studs. We got some studs, baby. You know, I was pretty bullish on Marcelino McCrary Ball throughout training camp and heading into preseason. Can Marcelino can he be pushed by Jalen Graham? Jalen Graham looks phenomenal. Jalen Graham looks like an NFL linebacker. Well, we understand he was going against backups. Get it. But that's the thing. People have a hard time being able to evaluate what's in front of them. They just make excuses to discredit the evaluation rather than contextualizing and evaluating. It's a pretty common theme amongst those who cannot evaluate. They tend to discredit more than they can contextualize because they don't know what they're looking at. And when you looked at Jalen Graham, he was all over the place. You look at the instincts, you look at his speed, you look like sideline to sideline, you look at the way he's shooting gaps, you look at the way he's reading and reacting, you see the way that he's working off run fits. Jalen looks for real. I mean, D Winters is fast as hell too. Like these guys got speed, but Jalen looked like a guy. Like he looked like he reminded me of, it's like I think Justin talked about it before. He dropped it in the comments. Il Manning and Jalen Graham, those two guys, one of them being an undrafted free agent offensive lineman and the other one being a 7th round linebacker out of Purdue, they outplayed their perceived draft stock or where they were either selected or signed at. Il Manning, I was thinking about this when I was in the shower. I was thinking about offensive linemen. Shocker. I was thinking about why I liked Nick Saldiveri. I was a big Nick Saldiveri guy. And Nick Saldiveri out of Old Dominion was a right tackle who profiled as a center guard in the NFL. He didn't have prototypical size. He was still 6'4", but he didn't have prototypical tackle size or arm length. But he had phenomenal technique and he had phenomenal feet, base, all of it. Right. And I was just thinking about like he was a draft crush of mine. And I was thinking about all the things that I liked about Nick Saldiveri. And I'm like, Il Manning has those same qualities. He has the same things of why I was ready to take Nick Saldiveri in the 3rd round because he had position versatility. He could play tackle, but likely profiled to center guard. And he could play all those positions well. You look at Il Manning. Ilm is like that, but we got him as an undrafted free agent. So I'm less concerned about the O-line depth, especially if Il Manning continues to play at the level that he played. Um, if Ilm can, now we hyped him up. We hyped him up. Ilm's seen all my tweets. He's seen all my posts. He liked them. Followed me on Instagram. Ilm knows. So Ilm's seen the comments. He's on our radar now. He knows he's on our radar. So now that's the next test. Okay, you got a little expectation now. No one expected a damn thing from Ilm Manning against the Raiders. Nothing. Not a thing. Most 49er fans didn't even know he existed. Now people know who he is. Now people have seen what he's done. And now how does he handle that? How does he repeat that? One of the greatest measures of success in the NFL is consistency. Can he play at that consistent level in week 2 of the preseason? If he can, and if he can do that, then Ilm Manning will have a real shot at making this roster. And that's huge. Big time huge. So Ilm Manning is a guy that I'm going to have my eyes on. I am looking forward to see what he looks like. Do they keep him at left tackle? This is, if I'm Chris Forrester, I've seen enough of Pryor. Pryor is just big. That's it. I don't like those types of offensive linemen. I need my offensive linemen to move. I need them to be technically sound. I'm just not it. I'm not sold on Matt Pryor yet. I don't think he should. I think Ilm absolutely outplayed the veteran Pryor. I would bump Ilm up the depth chart for this game. Now, obviously, if the starters go out there, if we do see Trent Williams, if we do see Colton McKivitz out there, obviously he's not getting bumped up in front of them. But I think Ilm Manning should be running with the twos. That's what I think. I think Ilm should be with the twos, and he should be playing left tackle with the twos. And I want to see how he holds up in that spot. I really do. I want to see him at tackle. If he can play like that at tackle, we know he can kick down. It's a lot harder to kick out than it is to kick down. You can't take guards and centers and put them at tackle. It just doesn't work that way. How it works is you take offensive tackles and you kick them inside. Look at Spencer Burford. He was a tackle. They kicked him inside. So that happens all the time. With Ilm, I want to see him perform at tackle because I already know he'll be able to perform at guard and center. Now, from a pass blocking standpoint, not a lot of questions with Ilm. I do want to see him in the run game a little bit more. Want to see him in the run game a little bit more. Want to see him show up. Want to see how he can dig guys out. I want to see Ilm in the run game a little bit more. So there's still more to be evaluated with Ilm. We're not calling him the greatest thing since sliced bread yet. There's still levels to his game that he needs to prove, but he's got the opportunity. So I'm really looking forward to it. Let's see. Michael's dropping a bunch of reports on me. Did you see the report that predicts Warner will be cut? No, I didn't. But to be honest, he's played the least, at least in the preseason out of these guys. Feels like Fumagalli is getting more reps over him. So, hey, this tight end room is fluid right now. Cameron Latu, talk about a guy who needs to come out and have a good game. Now, we talked about Cameron Latu last week, and I liked what he did in the run game. I liked what he did in pass protection. He even had a good catch. The catch that he had that turned into a fumble was actually a ball behind him, and he caught it with one hand. It was a good catch, but he got exposed and fumbled after the catch. That's not what you want. That's never what you want. And when you've been a guy throughout training camp who's dropped almost everything that's thrown at you, that's not what you want. But this tight end room is interesting, to say the least. It's very, very interesting to see how it's playing out. Fumagalli, Dwelly, Dwelley didn't play bad against the Raiders, at least from a pass catching standpoint. He's still not the best blocker, which is my biggest gripe with Dwelley. I like Dwelley, just don't see it as a blocker. And still, even in preseason against twos, still don't see it. So, but Warner, he's been kind of non-existent. So has he fallen off? Maybe. That one's going to be interesting. The other one that Michael dropped on me, he says, Brad, did you see the report by Yardbreaker that Oliver is struggling to the point that Luter could start at cornerback and Demo to nickel? I have seen that Oliver is struggling and that they've opened up the competition for nickel corner. And hey, man, I get it. If you're not performing, the 49ers are going to put their best. They're going to put their best 11 on the field. And there's a lot of high expectations for Oliver, especially with the way Steve Wilkes talked about him. They called Oliver the best nickel cornerback in free agency. So Oliver had some high expectations coming in. And listen, I've only gotten to see Luter in rehab process at training camp, but he passes the eye test. Luter looks like he's got long arms. He's got good size. He moves really well for his size. Luter's intriguing. I'm excited to see what he looks like in pads, but we just haven't seen it yet. And just like Justin says, this might be an opportunity for Womack because Womack balled out last preseason. He balled out last training camp. He had a pretty decent training camp. Wasn't the best training camp. Wasn't the worst training camp. It was good training camp. So Womack could be a guy that fills that role. But we do know that the best two cornerbacks on this roster right now are Charvarius Ward and Diamador Lenore. And whether it's Womack, whether it's Ambry Thomas redemption arc, we need it. We need someone to step up. Like if it's not Oliver, it's got to be someone. Someone's got to step up behind Demo and behind Charvarius. It's just got to happen. So we got to figure it out. We got to figure out what that looks like, who that guy is, and we got to get it figured out before week 1. I don't love the idea that we're into preseason week 2 and we're still trying to figure out who our best corners are. And obviously, Darrell Luter didn't practice all training camp, which is turning out to look like not a detriment towards Luter, just a detriment towards the defense. They needed to see Luter, and Luter's a rookie, and he needs reps. So that, who knows? Who knows? Luter could have been the third best cornerback in training camp, but we don't know because he didn't perform. I don't know if you saw, but there's some Tyson Bagent. I don't even know how to say his name. Hype coming out of Chicago. No, I did not see that. I did not see that. Is my boy balling? Is my D2 boy, my D2 son balling? I hope so. That's my guy. I wish the 49ers took a shot on Tyson opposed to Brandon Allen. I think that would have been nice. But he dropped another one on me too, Michael. He said, saw a report Bosa's holdout could go into the regular season. Listen, man. It shouldn't be this complicated. I've been here long enough to understand that the 49ers are hard ballers, I guess you want to say. When it comes to contract negotiations, they play the hardest of ball. They really do. I know some inside information on one of your favorite players on the team and how difficult it was for him to get paid by the 49ers. And how the twists and turns that, he's signed, he's been on the team. So it's not an issue anymore, but there was some twists and turns in this player, 49ers favorite contract negotiations that were concerning. And so we understand what it is. Nick Bosa is going to be the highest paid defensive player in all of NFL history. And there's I don't know. I don't know what the holdup is, because one of the things that we have seen from the San Francisco 49ers is they ultimately pay them. Look at Debo Samuel. Look at Debo Samuel. Yeah, I remember that. Frank Gore spoke about how brutal contract negotiations were because he sat in on them and he heard what they had to say, and he wasn't liking it. He wasn't vibing off it. So again, if Frank Gore, the inconvenient truth, can talk about how much struggle, and I mean, at that time, Frank Gore was beloved by the entire franchise, not fans, the franchise, coaching staff, front office, ownership. It's a hard business, man. It's a cutthroat business, and especially when it comes to dollars and cents, it's, the 49ers drive a hard game. And we're officially at the point where we should be concerned about Nick Bosa. Before I wasn't, but this is just taking way too long. This is taking way too long. We're at about that 3-week, do you notice how all the defensive ends are signing? You notice that? Jadeveon Clowney signed yesterday. Justin Houston signs. Yannick Ngakoue signs. All the defensive ends that we've been like, oh, that would be a nice defensive end across Nick Bosa, they've all signed, because the season starts in 3 weeks, and these guys need about 3 weeks to acclimate. You need about 3 weeks to acclimate, get back into football shape, get back, kind of work through some potential soft tissue stuff, and get ready for the season. You need about 3 weeks. And I think 3 weeks to the start of the season is on Sunday. So I still believe it's going to happen. I still believe Nick Bosa will get paid. And when it's all said and done, it's whatever. It's water under the bridge. It's, those 49ers, they love to just drag it on, and then they make him the highest paid NFL player in history with insane guarantees, and he's making quarterback money, and we're celebrating and we're hyped. And I still believe that's going to be the outcome, but man, they are pushing it. And we're to the limit. We're there. Like, I hope that we put this to bed next week. Like, if if we go to the third preseason game of the year and Nick Bosa is not paid, I'm probably going to just start posting hashtag pay Nick Bosa like every 30 seconds, because I don't know what else to do. Do we need to, I get it. Like, I'm not trying to attack the franchise or anything like that. It is what it is. But man, if Nick Bosa's not paid next week, we got to start. You can hit the alarm button. I give you permission. Give you permission to literally spam the timeline, your Instagrams, your TikToks, everything. Pay Nick Bosa. Like, if we don't got this done by next week, it might be time. It might be time to start the campaign. Hey, look, I just got done telling you, I agree. I think this will figure out. But we're at that point. We're at that point where we have to actually question this. Again, the 49ers, they paid Nick Bosa. We wouldn't be questioning this. But if they don't, it's a perfect thing to question. It's a perfect thing to be like, where's our best player? Where's our defensive player of the year? The Bears don't hibernate this long. I'm concerned. You know what I mean? You get it? Like, if a bear went 2 months past its normal hibernation period, you would get concerned. That's where we're at. Our bear is still hibernating, And it's past the point of where it's like, "Oh, yeah, he's sleeping in." No, no, no. He's not sleeping in anymore. There we gotta poke the bear. Wake up. Wake up. We need you. We need you this year. Exactly. Winter's been over. Winter has been over. Wake up, Bosa. And again, we'll figure it out. But hey, I'm not losing sleep over it yet. But we're on the brink of being concerned. Again, I'm not concerned yet, but I'm tiptoeing. I'm tiptoeing. I don't want to be concerned. I don't want to. I don't want to have to pull out the hashtag out the back pocket. But if I must start the campaign, I will start the campaign. It is what it is. What other players are you guys looking forward to seeing today? Obviously, we've already talked about the quarterbacks. We've already talked about Il Manning. We talked about Jalen Graham. I think those are going to be two of the big time. Like I'm big on the gems. I like the guys who rise from obscurity. Undrafted free agents, late round draft picks. I love it. It gets me excited to see guys who have been doubted rise. And so we've seen a couple guys, but who are some other guys that you want to see? Um, I think this would be really big for Moody's perception right now. I think fans are a little bit weary of Moody getting iced twice in a preseason game. Um, Obviously, it was a big kick. It was like a 58-yarder that he missed, and another one that was pretty deep as well. But I think people want redemption, and especially at home. You know what I mean? At home, at Levi's Stadium, in front of a home crowd. I think that would really like calm some people, because again, you hear Ponte talking about it all the time. We have a way in which we evaluate the draft and perceive value. And kicker in the third is always going to feel like a reach until they perform. So until these kickers prove that they are of the top 10 type, it's going to feel like a reach, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on them. So hopefully what we see is Moody get an opportunity to go out there and bang one through the uprights and just calm the nerves. It was the exact same thing we talked about when he was drafted. When he was drafted, we talked about the expectations. We talked about the perception. We talked about the pressure. That was the number one thing that we talked about, and it reared its head in preseason week 1. So now he's already at a disadvantage, and now he's got to build that trust back. He's got to re-earn that trust. He looked good in practice. Again, I called him a franchise kicker from watching practice. He was nailing everything. The leg is real. He can kick that thing crazy far. But you got to make it in games. That's when it matters. Same thing with practice and the whole practice arguments. You can do whatever you do in practice, but when the lights come on, that's when you have to perform at your highest. We allow mistakes in practice. You're allowed to have a shitty practice. You're allowed to go out and not have a good practice. It happens to every player every week. It happens. But it's when the games matter the most. And this is preseason, but remember, there's still a lot of competition going on. So if you're in the midst of a competition and you're not a veteran whose spot is locked, this is a big game. It's a big game. You got to go in, you got to show it, you got to prove it. You got to do it. It's not a big game for the starters. It's not a big game for the vets who got locked spots. It's a big game for anyone who's competing. If you're competing for a roster spot, you better pretend like this is the postseason because you're trying to make a spot. You're trying to beat out someone else who's trying to beat you out. We have to remember that. If you're in a competition, you are going to be viewed a different way, perceived a different way for how you perform in these preseason games because these can make or break you. So we'll see. We'll see. Do we think Ronnie Bell is going to have another big day? I think I think Ronnie Bell made a lot of progress in regards to being a guy that can make the roster. This is another stepping stone. Again, we talked about guys who had good performances against the Raiders. Now it's time to build. Ronnie Bell's one of those guys. He has a lot of momentum in his direction with his performance after playing the Raiders. So now he has to build. He can't take a step backwards. He's got to build guys like Tay Martin, guys like Chris Conley, Willie Snead, all these guys in the competition to make that final spot at wide receiver since Ray's hurt. There's a lot on the line for these guys. I want to see Danny Gray, though. I'm not going to lie. I want to see Danny Gray. I want to see Danny Gray do something today. I think he's pretty secure in his spot. He had a good camp. And of course he's got the draft capital investment into him. But I still want to see him. I still want to see what it looks like in preseason. So I'm hoping to see guys like Danny Gray. I want to see if Drake Jackson plays. I don't know if Drake Jackson's going to play. I know he kind of returned to practice this week. He might not play, but I would love to see Drake Jackson. My guess is they're going to keep Drake Jackson out until next week. So we're probably not going to see Drake Jackson, but I would love to see Drake Jackson. But we're probably not going to see Drake Jackson. And, we got to see. We got to see what our depth is. Manning starting today? It depends. If you got your starters out there, I would imagine Jalen Moore is going to start at left tackle. If Colton McKivitz is going to go out there and play, he's going to be your starter. But if they're starting the second string, I would love to see Manning start with the second string group. That's definitely what I would love to see. We talked about linebackers a little bit. Safeties, love to see Jair Brown again continue to have. He had a pretty decent game, but I want to see Jair Brown in coverage a little bit more. I think he's proven he's going to be a guy that will come downhill and he'll make a tackle. I want to see him in coverage. I want to see him challenged in coverage. That's what I want to see. I want to see him challenged in coverage a little bit more. Who else? Quantrez Knight. I want to see if Quantrez Knight can have another big game because he could be a cornerback. I think they got him at safety, but Quantrez seems like a guy who could play nickel. So with all these nickel questions, like you could potentially put Quantrez Knight at nickel. So I would want to see if they do that because I like the way Quantrez plays. I like his energy. He's got that dog mentality. He's not gonna hit you, or he's not going to shy away from hitting you. So Quantrez is a guy that I'm going to be interested in seeing how he plays today for sure. Obviously Isaiah Oliver. All eyes are going to be on Isaiah Oliver. What are you going to do today, Isaiah? You got publicly put on notice. That doesn't happen too often. And I think that's a challenge to him. He's a veteran. He's been in this league. I think this coaching staff openly challenged him to the public because now we're talking about it. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go out of your way and say, Oliver's not playing well. You don't have to say that. So they challenged him. So Oliver is a guy that we got to look for. Oliver, Womack, Deshaun Jameson, Ambry Thomas. We got competitions at defensive back. We got competitions at linebacker. Marcelino McCrary Ball. No Oren Burks, right? No Oren Burks. I don't want to see Fred Warner or Dre Greenlaw. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to see Fred Warner or Dre Greenlaw out there. Don't need to see it. Don't need to even see them dressed. I do not want to see Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw touch that field. I don't want to see Javon Hargrave. I don't want to see Eric Armstead. I don't want to see none of those guys. I don't want to see Talanoa Hufanga. I don't want to see Charvarius Ward. I know we might see some starters, but I really don't want to because I know. You know what I mean? Like, I know if you're going to play Brock on offense, you need to play your starting offense. You need your starting offensive line. You need some of your dogs out there. Yeah, that's different. But on defense, I don't want to see Armstead. I don't want to see Hargrave. I don't want to see Warner, Greenlaw, Ward, Talanoa. I don't want to see any of those guys. No, not even a taste. Not even a taste. You know why? Because I know how they taste. Pause. But you know what I mean? Like, I know. I don't need to see them. I don't need to see Eric Armstead in year 9? I don't need to see Javon Hargrave. I don't need to see Warner, Greenlaw. I couldn't resist. We've been a little sus recently, but you know the vibes. We're going to keep it rolling. I know what these guys are. I know what they are. I don't need to see them. So on defense, it's a different story. Defense, that's the best defense in the NFL right now. I don't need to see those guys. I need to see the depth guys. I need to see the guys fighting for spots. That's what I want to see. And being able to put those guys up against the first string potential offense, against the starters with Denver, I think that would be a good test. With Brock, if Brock is going to play, I want Kyle Juszczyk out there. I want Christian McCaffrey out there. I could go without seeing Christian McCaffrey because, again, I know what Christian is. I don't need to see him. But if you're putting Brock out there, I want Trent Williams out there. Do I need to see Trent Williams in preseason? Absolutely not. But what I do need to see is Brock Purdy protected. I need to see if they're going to play Brock. I need Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, Colton McKivitz. No question. Because I don't want that risk in the preseason of Jalen Moore. Because if you remember, Jalen Moore got destroyed. Jalen Moore had probably one of the worst 5-play sequences I had ever seen against the Denver Broncos last year. Remember, it was so bad. He instantly got benched. He didn't make it a drive. He got benched instantly. He played so bad. I don't want to see those guys blocking for Brock Purdy. I want to see the starters. So that's why it's different for the offense opposed to the defense. The defense, put those guys on the shelf. Put them on ice. Put them in bubble wrap. Put them in shorts, hats, and T-shirts. I don't want to see them at all. But the offense is a different story because the offense is really a more conjoined unit, and on defense, they're rotating guys constantly. They don't rotate on offense outside of skill positions. So that's the biggest thing. If you're putting your boy Brock out there, he better have the best quality protection in front of him because they can tackle Brock. And I don't mind Brock getting a hit. I'm not going to love it, but that's part of it. You hear from players all the time. They talk about it like, man, it felt good to get that first hit again. it felt good to just feel like, okay, I got that out the way. I got that. I got that first. You know, all right, whew. Because that's what players are thinking about when you're returning from injury, man. Like, man, I hope I don't get hit, and I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. That's part of the mental game. Sometimes you just got to take that hit, and you're like, all right, we're good. I survived. So offense is going to be much different than the defense. So Javon got cooked last week. It felt like I see it right here. Javon looks like he's on roller skates again. He's got to go. Dude was getting blown off the ball. I would actually disagree with that. I got into the tape, as you guys already know, and Javon looked fine. He actually made a couple plays. I think he made like 2 plays where he got into the backfield and created havoc right away. So that's the thing. It's like everyone was down on Javon, and I went and I watched, and I was like, I'm gonna have to disagree because again, it's gonna be my favorite saying all year. The eye in the sky doesn't lie. I can't make it up. I can't just tell you that Javon looked better than it was. That's just how it was. He just looked better than people gave him credit for. And hey, that's fine. That's fine. Javon's got some high expectations, and he's got some allegations to beat. So I understand. People want to see him making plays. They don't want to see anything other than Javon making plays. And if he's not making plays, he's going to be put on the chopping block. People want his neck. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. Again, I've even got it right here. A little impromptu. Just again, the tape doesn't lie. It's right here. Javon Kinlaw, right here. Again, he's on roller skates. I don't see the roller skates. I see him pushing the center right into the running back and making a play. He did this a couple times. So again, people are going to see what they're going to see. But if you really spend the time to go in and watch the tape, you can see that he actually had an okay game. It wasn't a great game. It wasn't like he was just dominate, but he didn't have a bad game. Look, that's what you want from Javon. You want him to push the line of scrimmage. You want him to push the center into the running back and create a play. You want Cleveland Farrell to own the edge and just sandwich this dude into his own guys. Like that's what you want. So again, people want Javon to fail. They don't want Javon to fail, but they've already written him off, right? They've already written him off. So he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt. He's going to have to go out there and like make plays, sacks, things like that to like really be able to like shed this narrative, right? To be able to be like, oh, like I'm not like right here again. Javon Kinlaw stands up the guard, stands right in the hole. Cleveland comes around. But look at the 2 guys at the point of attack. Cleveland Farrell, Javon Kinlaw. So he didn't have as bad of a game as people made it seem. Like it really just wasn't. But people want to see him make plays. People don't want to see mediocre from him because they've already considered him and he's going to be a guy to watch. He's going to be a guy to watch. We want to see Javon take that next step. He was a first round draft pick. He looks leaner. So we want to see him thrive. We want to see him prove it to us, right? We want to see him go above and beyond, and that's fine. I understand those expectations, and those expectations are valid because that should be how it is. So he's a guy that we'll be watching out for as well. All right. I think it's that time. I'm going to have to get out of here pretty soon, head down to Santa Clara. Super excited to get back to Santa Clara. Can't wait. Can't believe it. Can't believe we're here. I'm going to be around 49ers football again. Whew. Let's do offensive player of the game. Who's going to be our offensive player of the game today? And again, preseason offensive player of the game isn't like a regular season offensive player of the game. Like Ilm Manning, I think might have been the Ilm Manning, Ronnie Bell were up there with offensive players of the game against the Raiders. An offensive lineman, backup offensive lineman. So drop your offensive players of the game. This could be these are the way that I'm weighting it. If you're in a competition, there's a little bit more extra spice. There's a little bit more extra spice if you're competing for a spot. Because if you're competing for a spot, that means if you have a good game, it means more. So, guys that I'm looking for to have good games, drop your offensive player of the game in the chat. Who we're going to, and again, it doesn't have to be the conventional. Sam Darnold, offensive player of the game, leading off with the ginger. Ooh. Sammy D. Charlene says Bell. Max says Chris Conley. We got Bell. Debo. I don't know how much Debo's going to play. Sam Darnold, QB1. Stop it. Maybe QB1 today, but we'll see. Ronnie Bell shows out again. Bell. So far, Bell is the clubhouse leader for player of the game. LA wants to see a high scoring game. Trey Lance, Trey, Bell. Bell will get the reps and the ops. Jordan Mason. You know what? I think Jordan Mason has to have a good game. I do. I think Jordan Mason and TDP are a lot closer than we want to think. So I think this is big for Jordan. Like, we understand the 49ers clearly believe in TDP. They spent a third-round draft pick on him, and he had a really good camp, and he looks explosive. So Jordan Mason, I don't think it's like given to. I think him and TDP are on pretty even playing field right now. So Jordan Mason would be suited to have. That would be beneficial for him to have a good game. Second half, Trey Lance. I'll say Bell continues his momentum. JP Mason, 70+ yards on 6 carries. I like that. Yo, Brad, do you think the Niners could improve at DB? Do you trust our cornerback unit? I trust Charvarius the most. I do trust Diamador Lenore, but I think it's like a tier below Charvarius. They're not on the same playing level to me yet. I trust Charvarius Ward pretty highly. I do think Charvarius Ward is a top 10 cornerback in this league, and I think he'll continue to prove that this year. Demo, to me, feels like there's still some proving ground. I still need to see a full season of Demo before, like, Demo's proven to me he's capable and deserving of being the cornerback too, but I still need to see more before I trust him. So if that kind of answers your question, I trust our cornerback 1. Everyone kind of below, I still trust Diamador Lenore, but not at the same level. And then everyone behind Diamador Lenore, there's a lot to prove. I don't trust him yet. I don't trust him quite yet. I do trust our safeties. I trust Gibson. I trust Hufanga. I trust those guys, and that helps our cornerbacks. But our depth is a little shaky right now. So we'll see. Darnold, most likely Jason. Spicy Jason. Lay Trance. Interesting. Fumagalli. I hope it's Trey, but if it isn't, TDP, Trey Lance. Oh, Trent Williams. All right. Debo. Bell. Moody, player of the game. I'll take it. Trey, Darnold, Jason Poe. Jason Poe had a decent game. He didn't have a great game, but he had a good game. Didn't have a bad game. They had a couple miscues up front, but he played pretty well. Winstead, okay, I'll take it. Number 88, Fumagalli. TDP needs to pick up his pass pro. Yeah, it was funny. I did notice TDP had some good pass pro reps, but I did notice when I did the Ilm Manning breakdown, TDP had a had a big miss on one of those reps, and everyone kept talking about it. And I didn't even see it because I was so locked into Ilm that I didn't even see TDP's just big old whiff on the linebacker. Ilm Manning would be awesome. If Brock plays, it will confirm Kyle's an idiot. I highly disagree with that. Like, to the utmost degree. I completely disagree with that. Will we see Joey Fisher today? Yes, we will see Joey Fisher today. He's a guy that I need to spend more time on. I didn't do a deep dive focus on him against the Raiders. But he's a guy that I do want to get a little better on, watching his tape and all that stuff. Dwelly. Tight end, dude, the tight end position is becoming kind of crazy, right? It's kind of crazy. All right, so if I had to pick offensive player of the game, I'm gonna stay on brand, and we're going Ilm Manning, baby. Ilm Manning gets bumped up to the second unit, and gets bumped up to the second unit. They put him at right tackle this time, that to really mess with them. They put him at right tackle, and he balls out still. I hope they don't put him at right tackle. That's a big switch going from left to right. So, uh, but I'm gonna rock with Ilm. I want to see Ilm stack 2 really good games in a row. So that's definitely what I'm going to be looking for, because if Ilm can stack another quality game, he can make this roster. So I'm all in on Ilm right now. Like, I'm locked in. I want to see what he does. All right, defensive player of the game. Let me know in the chat. Again, I don't know what the reps are going to look like. I don't want to see any of the starters, so I'm not going to pick any starters to be the defensive player of the game. I'm looking for guys in battles, guys in competition. Obviously, you got to play a decent amount of reps to be able to qualify for defensive player of the game. You got to be able to be in there to make some plays. But I'm not looking at your top tier guys. I'm not looking at Hufanga, Ward, Greenlaw, Warner, Hargrave, Armstead. Not looking at any of those guys. I'm looking at these guys trying to earn a spot. Looking at these guys trying to win a battle for. So who's going to show up on defense? Who's it going to be? Is it going to be one of the rookies? Is it going to be an undrafted free agent? Is it going to be one of these vets? I would say Cleveland. Cleveland had a hell of a game against the Raiders. So Cleveland played really well against the Raiders. But who's it going to be today? TDP. Wait, that's offense. Deshaun Jameson, undrafted free agent cornerback. He's going to get another opportunity to showcase his returning chops. So that one's going to be interesting. Jalen Graham for sure. Going to be watching Jalen Graham. D. Winters. Ambry Thomas. Ambry Thomas could have a monster game and really, really flip the script. Joey says, I'll go Jair Brown, making plays. I think he gets a pick. I would love to see that. Winters, Womack, Brown, Winters, Taco, Graham. Stop it. Ambry Thomas, Jair, Witt with the interception. Jair would be awesome if it were Ambry. Ooh, Kinlaw. Okay. Okay. I like that. I would love to see Kinlaw come away with a sack or two. I hope we see Russell Wilson. I do. I hope this they put the first string offense out. The first string offense gets like a quarter or two. I want to see it. I'm really intrigued by what we're going to see like cuz we don't really know. We don't really know what we're going to see, but I'm very intrigued. D Winters um Quantrez Knight, Jameson, McCrary Ball. Yeah, I feel like based on how Sean Payton has been working this preseason, I would imagine we're going to see Russell Wilson in the starting offense. Honestly, yes. Yes, I do. I like he's got that length. He's got the speed. I think he could be a pass rusher. Yeah, I agree. I think we see the same thing. He he like Winters probably couldn't be a pass rusher. He's too compact. But with Graham, like you see how quickly he can change direction, how fast he is, how explosive he is, how good he was at getting off blocks. You could absolutely develop that guy as a pass rusher. So what will be interesting to see is if they blitz him off the edge. But Graham has a big time opportunity to earn a spot on this roster. Again, 7th round pick, not a foregone conclusion that he's going to make it, but that's who I'm going with my defensive player of the game as well. Jalen Graham. I'm going with the hot young boys from the Raiders. I'm going with Il Manning, and I'm going with Jalen Graham. I want to see these guys build. I want to see them stack. I want to see them. They're going to get a lot of reps today. Um, and I want to see them build on their performances against the Raiders, and I want to see them earn that spot. So those are going to be my guys that I'm going to be looking for. Again, I highlighted both of them this week with their performance against the Raiders. Really looking to see what Jalen Graham and Il Manning can build on in this game. So, really, really, really looking forward to it. I already gave my thoughts on Latu, but I'll give him again. He's really concerned me with his ability to catch the football. That was apparent all throughout training camp. However, in the preseason game, I did like what he did as a blocker. So I think that's going to be a big time redeeming quality of his is that I know we focus on tight ends now as being pass catchers and that being like the main thing that tight ends do. But it's very important to focus on that in this scheme. Tight ends got to block. Tight ends got to block at a high level. So, and I do see a lot of potential in Latu as a blocker. So, in pass protection and in the run game. So, that made me feel better about Latu. Now, people are going to focus on the drops, they're going to focus on the fumble, and they're going to call him a bad tight end. But I do think important the important thing to remember when you're evaluating a tight end in this scheme is the blocking means almost just as much as the catching. Like it really does. Like they're pretty equally weighted. So if he can continue to showcase his blocking ability, that could still get him on the field. That could still get him on the field, even if he can't catch. Look at Charlie Warner. So if Latu can continue to prove that he's a blocker, then that could still earn him his spot, and that could still get him on the field. Obviously, you want to have him reliable as a pass catcher to have a multi-dimensional ability to his game, but as long as he continues to prove that he can block, then that will help me feel better about him. Obviously, you want to see the ability to catch to develop, and that's concerning. But so far, I see it as a blocker. So, and I think he can get better as a blocker. So, we'll see. We'll see. Uh, do we dare do we dare, like, typically how we do our pregame streams, we do offensive player of the day, we do defensive player of the day, and we do score predictions. Do we want to do score predictions? It's preseason. We were all wrong on our score predictions last week, but it's still preseason. We're in preseason form as well. If you want, drop your score predictions for 49ers versus Denver Broncos in the chat. Do the 49ers win this game? Russ probably going to start like that first half. Russ returning to Levi's is what do you guys got? Any score predictions? Anything so far? I don't see any. No, everyone's like, nah, we don't care. Look, nope, I give up on score predictions. We'll save the score predictions. We'll save the score predictions for real games, I guess. SF 17, Denver 30, Broncos 19, 49ers 14. I agree. I think the Broncos are going to win this one because I don't think all that many 49ers starters are going to play. So I agree. I'm going Broncos with the W. And again, I don't care about the outcome. I care more about the process. So care about what's going on the field. Individual evaluation it matters much more than collective team success right now. So that's important to remember, that the individual evaluation means so much more than the team success as a whole. So, hey, I'm prepared for the 49ers to lose today. And if they do, I do not care. Just like I don't care about practice stats, I don't care about the 49ers winning preseason games. Not everyone will feel that way, but hey, that's how it works. That's how it works. Excited to see who gets upset about the preseason stats today, and to see how the manipulation of stats continues to happen. But as you already know, you don't got to worry about that with me because I don't care. What we care about is football and the play on the field. And so that's what we'll talk about. So I'm gonna try to do a live post-game live from the stadium. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But hey, stay tuned. I'm gonna be posting all kinds of content from the stadium. So make sure you got post notifications on. Make sure you're checking in with the channel because I'm going to be posting stuff from inside Levi's Stadium. Going to be much different. Oh yeah, we got a late night gang stream going on for sure. So again, I'll be posting content from inside the stadium. And yeah, so you're going to get a different perspective from me. So make sure you tapped in. Make sure you're watching. I'm going to post all the pregame stuff. So be on alert for any of the pregame content. We're going up today. I'm looking forward to it. Finally back in the building, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited for it. I don't care if it's preseason. It's been a long time. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Make sure you sub to the channel. And as always, let's go get that dang dub today. Even though I just said I don't care about dubs, I still want a dub. Let's go. Football. Let's go. Football. Get your cookies on your way out. Get your Sunday. It's not even Sunday. Get your Saturday cookies. We got football today, baby. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to